History of facial feminization goes back to roughly 1982 when the first case was done. First case was done by my associate and partner, Douglas Ooster, right here in this practice. Incidentally, it's one of the oldest continuously running practices on the West Coast. But the story doesn't exactly begin in 1982 because it was really a culmination of both of his maxillofacial plastic surgery and craniofacial background. He had been trained by essentially the founder of craniofacial surgery in Paris and Paul Tessier. And then he carried that information forward. And it was when a patient brought this demand to him that he devised a way to feminize the forehead that he was able to take those tools and then use them for a slightly different purpose than he previously had to use them before. Over his career and lifetime, he did approximately 1,600 cases. Having been the most experienced and busy person having done this thing, it's, I think, something to look at when you hear people boasting that they've done 2,500 or 3,000 cases, because a lifetime experience in one person's hands really does amount to about 1,500 or 1,600 cases. That surgery evolved from having simply feminized a forehead on a patient to having feminized about 10 foreheads on patients. And one thing that medicine shows you is you learn through experience. And over those 10 cases, what Doug Ooster learned was that although the foreheads were looking great, the noses now somehow looked out of balance for the patients. And he essentially had to go back and do rhinoplasties on those original patients in order to produce a good harmonious result. So therefore, it would make a lot of sense to do those things together, and that is most commonly the practice now that we do today. As those patients that were then getting their foreheads and noses done later realized, then their chins and jaws started to look particularly masculine because the foreheads and the noses tended to look relatively more feminine. And therefore, the same thing happened. Procedures were devised to feminize the lower portion of the face, and then it was bundled into the original set of operations so that you could have a cohesive one operation that would get you from where you were to where you needed to be in order to comfortably live in the environment, and also to feel good about what you saw in the morning in the mirror.